Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's been quite a while since I posted anything, mainly because I've been very busy with life and all sorts of things. But fortunately for me, I've recently retired and now I have a little bit more time to do some things. I've been watching a little bit of YouTube and I'm inspired once again to post some content. So I hope those of you who have watched my channel before will come back and watch some more and interact with me through the comments. What I really want to talk about today is that because I've retired, any excuse to buy a new guitar, I thought, well, retirement is a good excuse. So I decided to buy myself a retirement guitar. So today is all about that. So the story begins with me searching Facebook Marketplace for the appropriate guitar to purchase. I didn't really have anything specific in mind. I just thought, well, it's my retirement guitar, so I'll bump up my budget a little bit and I'll have a look at what's available. Now, it's quite amazing how if you've been buying and selling guitars for a while within a budget and you jump up to the next echelon, what's all of a sudden available to you. So all of a sudden, by just bumping up my budget to the next 1,000 sort of a range, um, there were just guitars available to me, which I didn't even used to look at because I thought, well, that's way out of my budget. So I had all of a sudden this plethora of guitars, which once upon a time would have been not even a consideration, all of a sudden there before me. I was thinking Les Paul at first, something with two humbuckers, and there were quite a few available at the price that I wanted to pay. But then, all of a sudden, one morning I woke up and there, to my delight, was this beautiful Heritage H535. Beautiful. Blue, which is one of my favorite colors for guitars. This really incredible wood grain back in beautiful condition, just perfect. And to make things even better, it was, only an hour's drive away from where I live. So I thought, wow, that's great. So I watched it for a day or so while I thought about it and then made what was a good offer. And lo and behold, the chap accepted. The guitar was everything I thought it would be. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And it really was a step up from anything else I owned. Just beautiful fit and finish. The neck was really lovely. Just a beautiful guitar. Everything about it. And I got it back and I hung it on the wall. Everything seemed right in the world. And I thought, well, here's a guitar I can keep forever. And it's just, just fantastic. Fantastic to look at, fantastic to play. But over the ensuing weeks, I played it, but I just didn't gel with it. Now, look, I'm no virtuoso guitarist. I'm just Joe Hack, and but some guitars talk to me and some guitars don't. And this one just wasn't, which was really disappointing because this was my retirement guitar and I'd spent this, boatload of money on it. I thought, well, I just need to get used to it. I just need to keep playing it. So I did that. But, it just wasn't there. And I think part of it was the fact that I'd spent so much money on it that I felt and I felt guilty, I suppose. It's the best way of putting it. I felt that, guitar for me has been a really fun project over the last 10, 15 years. And one of the things that I've really enjoyed about it is that it's a really cheap hobby compared to so many other hobbies. Some of my friends collect cars and things like that, and it costs them tens of thousands of dollars, whereas guitars, they don't cost anything like that. And the good thing about a guitar is if you buy right and you buy the right brand and everything, you can always sell it for whatever you paid for it, or in most cases, get more. Now, it's not as good as it used to be. Prices have snuck up, and all of a sudden, we're having to pay a lot more for just medium rated sort of guitars, but it's still good value. and it's a cheap hobby. And I've done some numbers. I keep spreadsheets and things of my guitars that I buy, and over the years, I'm ahead really of what I've bought, other than what I've got now, of course. But I'm ahead of the game, so I feel quite confident I could sell all of my guitars off today, and I'd come out ahead. But having said that, there's still a limit, and when I have just retired, so I had to think about that. But it was more than that too. It was well, I paid, and it was $3,000 I paid for this guitar, Australian dollars. I paid this money for this guitar, and I couldn't help but think, I could probably have two or three more affordable guitars for this one guitar. And although this is a beautiful guitar, you look at some of the PRS SEs and some of the Fender Mexicans and things that are coming out these days, maybe even some of the Epiphone models and things like that. And you think, well, I could have, two or three other guitars for this one guitar, and maybe that's more me than having this one beautiful guitar. So, as I wasn't gelling with it as much as I'd hoped I would, I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to sell this, hopefully get my money back, and I'm going to buy something else, something a little bit more modest, or maybe a couple of guitars. I've been watching the PRS SE things that have been released recently, and some of them look fantastic. I really like the look of the McCartney 594. There's that new N3 or 53 Telly one that looks really cool. So there's a lot of really nice guitars at a very affordable price, or mediumly affordable price, that I could have instead of this one solid guitar. And although my initial idea was to have the retirement guitar, I quickly found out that that's probably not what I wanted. So I decided, okay, let's put this up for sale. So I did that, put it on Facebook Marketplace at the same price that I paid for it. I wasn't trying to, cash out. I wasn't trying to make money on it or anything. I thought I'd just put it on the same price. Well, as you know, the guitar market at the moment is very, very slow. And it's really hard to sell anything, especially any guitars worth, you know, any guitars that are more expensive than just your cheaper, affordable guitars. Unless you've got something really special and you're willing to let it go for a deal, everything just sits and sits and sits. And so this happened to me. It was just sitting there, and I wasn't too upset. I thought, well, it doesn't really matter. If I sell it, I sell it. If I don't, I don't. I'll keep it because I was pretty, I was pretty sure that I'd be able to sell it for more in the future. So if I kept it, I wasn't going to lose money on it. But then one day out of the blue, I got a message from someone from interstate saying that they had a PRS Silver Sky and would I be willing to trade? Now, at first I thought, no, I don't want to do that. I want to cash out. And I went back to him and said, no, sorry, but I want to cash out, so not interested. But then I thought about it for a few days and I thought, I wonder if I did that, whether it would be easier to sell the Silver Sky than Heritage. Because, PRS is a bit more of a known brand, whereas Heritage is a bit more boutique, I suppose you'd say. So I went back to this guy and I said, well, if we did that, because he was interstate as well, how would we go about doing it? And he described to me his methodology of what he'd do. We'd both go down to pack and send and pack them up and send confirmation photographs and everything so that we'd both be assured that we'd both send off the guitar. Now, at first I wasn't really keen on this idea. I thought, oh, this sounds risky and, I don't even know this guy. How do I know he's even going to send me a real guitar, etc.? So I did some Google and search and everything of him, and he was a guy that bought and sold guitars all the time. He looked like he sold heaps, which I don't know whether it was reassuring or not, but he was certainly selling a lot of guitars, and he had very high ratings. So I figure, well, look, it looks like I can trust him. And one other funny fact was too that he was a pastor at some church up in Sydney. So I thought, well, if you can't trust a pastor, who can you trust? So I organised to do the deal. this is it. PRS Silver Sky USA 2023 model. I think it's called, I think it's gunpowder grey or gunmetal grey, something like that. Now, before I got this guitar, I'd never even held Silver Sky, either SE or full-blown core model. I'd never even seen one in the flesh, but I'd watched lots of YouTube videos and everything of people saying, oh, it's just a Strat, or no, it's not a Strat, blah, 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 all that kind of crap. But as I mentioned before, I think the main reason I thought I'd get it was that this would probably be easier to sell than my Heritage. So when it arrived, I was really pleasantly surprised. The neck on this is just amazing. You know, people keep, and I do too, I wonder what's the difference between the cheaper guitars and the more expensive guitars of the same models. I've never held an SC Silver Sky in my hands before, but I tell you what, it would have to be pretty bloody good to match this. This just feels like a premium instrument. Everything about it, just beautiful finish, beautiful fretboard. I know some people go on about the tuning buttons being cheap and that, but you know, they don't feel cheap. They feel good. And the tuning, there's really smooth. They really, really go, do a great job. The fret job is incredible, and the pickups just sound fantastic. So the wash-up is that I now own this beautiful core model USA PRS Silver Sky. And what can I tell you? I'm really happy. It sounds great, plays great. But I still have that feeling in the back of my mind that, hey, this is an expensive guitar, and maybe, just maybe, I'd be better off with something either cheaper or a couple of things even cheaper. And as I mentioned before, there are a couple of PRS SEs that I really like the look of. Or should I just hang on to this? This is my dilemma. As you can see, I've got a few other guitars behind me. I don't need any more guitars, but if you guys out there are like me, I just see things all the time. I think, oh God, I'd love to get that. I'd love to get that. And now that I am retired, I'm trying to be more responsible and trying to stick within my budget. So if I want something, I've got to sell something. And the first thing that comes to mind is some of my other guitars. I know I just wouldn't be able to sell at the price that I would be willing to sell for at the moment. So this one sits high on the list of available to sell. So stay tuned. Who knows what will happen next? You'll have to come back and see. Thanks for watching. It's good to be back on YouTube. I hope you guys enjoyed the content, and I hope I can get better at presenting some interesting content for you over the next few months. See you later. Bye.